Telling truth in all things. Delivered by Source through Rene Avery, Messenger. We stand in truth in all things. We are telling what we are hearing and knowing. There is within the universe that which causes one to wonder who and when, to seek and to become. This series is to be aware and discover your place within yourself. It is an investigation into reality and where to go with it. This series is on the significance of 2012, the challenges and changes. It is presented by the Los Lunas Dowsers Association. Part 4, Following One's Heart to Wisdom.
I have a burning question.
Okay.
And I'm sure that it's all fun, but I want you to tell me that anyway. On the island of debris that's coming towards Hawaii and the coast, and all of the other damage that we've done to the oceans, are the Brotherhood, Sisterhood handling it, trying to...
Okay. Who you got here? Brothers and sisters. Okay? And we were told we were to set up a prayer group for fighting hurricanes. Okay? 10 years ago. And we were told that that year they were going to have more hurricanes on the East Coast than they'd ever had before, and it was going to tear the whole thing up from Florida all the way up. So we started calling people, going, help, help, help. We're going to do a group, a prayer group. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to ask God to help us out. That was the year, I don't know, anybody remember the hurricane they called Dancing Dan that got in the middle of the Gulf, and it just kept going and going and going and going and going? Uh-huh.
I lived in Florida then.
Our group stopped it.
Awesome.
Stopped it. The only one that hit land was in the Caribbean. It's an island called, with an A, it starts with an A, it's a small one. It hit the corner of it, and what happened was we were watching, if you notice, the hurricanes come off of that area, the top part of Africa, up there. And so we were trying to, to do our prayers to stop them before they got across the ocean, because when they get going, they're harder to stop. And I think there are about 30 of us all across the nation that were in this group. And they would report when they were coming. I'd ask what we need to do. Everybody would start the prayers, and everybody would track them. Well, what happened is we had two coming off there at one time, and they were killers. Both of them were killers on their own, and they were running together. It was Noel and Marilyn, I think, as the two, if anybody remembers those. So we started working on those, took our energy off of the one that was in the Caribbean already, and it hit the corner of Antigua, I think it was. It's the only one that hit. And I had a client who was a publisher in Atlanta, and I got a call from Royce, and he said, we haven't had any hurricanes, what are we doing, thanks? And I said, what do you mean? Because we were doing it quietly. And he said, that Dancing Dan that's out there, it's going round and round, they keep saying, run, 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 and he just kept going. Our group was praying for it, and when they get into the Gulf, it's on that warm water, and they really go. And they'd say, run for your life. And he said in Atlanta, where he was, everybody's battening down and everything. And he said, I just sat at my desk and go, okay, I know she's doing something. But it wasn't just me. It was a whole bunch of us. The only one that we have missed was Katrina, was one of them. And we had her going out when she was coming up. Since you lived there, you probably know, she was coming up the coast by Florida. And she started to head out to sea, which is what we were praying for, to get her over cold water. And as it was coming, we were told, it was on TV, okay, it's going out to cold water, and I went on vacation thinking everything is all right. Well, what happened was at our northern border for Canada, all of a sudden it got really cold, and it dropped down to the top of the Dakotas there, and started blowing these winds that were just outrageous. My assistant at the time, her parents are in South Dakota. They have a ranch there. And I asked Vicki, I said, when you were up there, what happened? Because I was told it did that, and it blended, those winds blended with what was lower by the Gulf, and it pulled her into that, in between Cuba and the United States. And then when they get over that hot water, they go, man. And I came home a day before they hit, and we couldn't get it to stop. Is you need to have people who are symbiotic. that they have a particular interest in that, so that everybody has their particulars, what's really important to them. And so find people who are congruent with you so your energies can congeal together. You can do miracles. I'll tell you a miracle, and some of you may be aware of it already. Edgar Cayce, if you've read Edgar Cayce, was always predicting the earth change. On her. Well, that's just a part of her physics. It's what she does. And if she didn't do that, because of how she spins and everything, she'd throw herself out of orbit. She has to rebalance. And he predicted that coming in the 30s. Well, we've gone through it. And if you're listening to the news, they're bitching about they've got to change all of this stuff for landing airplanes because nothing's working. You know why? Mother Earth's core changed. It did. It finished, last year I think it is. If you were looking, standing in California and looked straight up through Seattle, that's where the North Pole was. Now, South Pole has dirt under it. North Pole doesn't. It's just frozen. As a matter of fact, they took the nukes underneath. They could take it underneath and go, under the ice and then up. So there's no dirt up there. And what happened was Mother Earth, we were told that she could flip quickly. And that was Casey's prediction. If she did, what would happen? And we were told again to put a group together. And they were like probably 100 people that wanted to be a part of that. And everybody kept track of the news and the changes and the whole thing and let everybody else know. And we kept that prayer group going. And it would just go a little bit, little bit, little bit. Now, it took 3 years. 3,300 miles. Yeah. And it just kept moving a little bit, little bit. All those earthquakes and all the stuff going on that we were having, it was because she was shifting. And when she shifted, the rocks would come together and she's shifting. But she just did a little at a time until she locked in. One of the things that happened, and you might be aware of it if you were watching the moon at the time, is that she went into this wobble. When she finally settled in, she was wobbling like this as she was going. And when that would happen, the moon would be over there. It's supposed to go to the horizon, like this, and then it goes back again. I had a woman, one of my clients in Philadelphia, called one night, freaked out. Her husband built their house. They both liked the moon, and he got this thing. He's kind of a funny ha-ha guy. He built a glass strip, or like a window, like half of that door, in their upstairs bedroom, their master bedroom, and it was all glass so they could watch the moon move across there. It would go right across there. And she called me and she said, Rene, I said, what? She said, something's wrong with the moon. I said, what's going on? She said, it goes across like this. It goes spring and summer, it goes like that, and then back, and we've watched it for years. It's not in my window. Mm-hmm. And I said, Corrine, where is it? I don't know. I said, well, look around the house. See what you did with it. She called me back, and their house faces like north. And she called me back, and she said, Rene, it moved over there. It wasn't. It was the wobble. But that shift is actually 3,300 miles. And you want to know why we're having...
Did it go to clockwise? Was it clockwise?
It went, okay, if you're looking at it like this, it went that way. It went, so that would be west. Mm-hmm. And what's happening there, they started saying the North Pole, where it was, it was like melting. Well, if you look 3,300 miles, it was over there. And now what's happening, if you listen on the news and stuff, they got this thing going on about they've got to retool and redo all of their landing equipment and everything. So it looks like we're going to have a big bill for doing that, but that's why, because our compasses are all off. I'm concerned right now, and you can say prayers about that thing in Missouri. I think it's Missouri. That's the one. Mm-hmm.
Mississippi River.
Yeah, that one, that whole thing. I picked up probably about 7 or 8 years ago, that the Lake Michigan has a fault there. And if that thing goes off and hits that fault, everything starts coming down the Mississippi River. Mm-hmm. And so we've got some concern there. Okay, let Mother Earth do what she needs to, but how about let's create something else that won't be devastating? It's like with that shift. That's Mother Earth, but with our prayers and our love and everything getting involved, no one has to have that, because the love will create a way. So if you see something on Earth plane, since you are all here to assist in some way, get a few people together. It doesn't take many. You're very powerful. And it's always about, I would ask that in love, that whatever's happening here, that if this event needs to happen, if Mother Earth needs to shift, she does need to shift. If she doesn't, she'll go out of orbit. She shifts ever so often because as she's spinning, things kind of get out of balance. And when she rebalances to that, then she's okay. So that's just a part of what happens, but we don't have to suffer from it.
What does the Earth serve in the universe?
Love.
Love. So are there other planets that also have human beings on them?
We see it's true. As a matter of fact, you have a federation in Saturn that is ahead of the solar system that you're in, and it is that which tries to coordinate others into the lovingness. And so, believe it or not, most planets do. Now, it might be in other dimensional ways or whatever, but Saturn is, we have a planetary union that works on the whole thing for peace and love and balance and that kind of thing. And we are not, the planets have somebody that come to Saturn and they sit in union about how to support our planets and everything, okay? And our solar system. I was told that not all planets have representation, but they do have somebody there from our planet to be aware of what's going and report back to them, how we're doing with our wars or whatever, and how they might be able to help. And I thought, wow, because I wasn't really into that. This is pretty interesting. And I was told it's for the whole planetary system, ours, okay? But every one of them have a representative. If they're like us, we don't qualify yet because we don't have enough lovingness. We've got all this war stuff going on. But they had to have a representative there so that they would keep that federation aware